The stakes keep rising.
Welcome to round one of TBT 2025 here at this historic Memorial Coliseum. Each of today's teams is just 6 wins away.
Welcome back to Memorial Coliseum on the campus of the University of Kentucky in Lexington. Day one of TBT 2025 rolls along, and it's game two of our quadruple header in round one from the Lexington Regional. This is the 2-7 matchup in this portion of the bracket. It features a TBT charter team in Eberlein Drive, the 2 seed in Lexington, against a TBT newcomer, the 7 seed Richards Elite. Alongside Mike Latulip, former Illinois Fighting Illini and TBT general manager, I'm Chris Vosters. We were treated to a TBT thriller in the first game from Lexington, a 1-point win for Tampa, Florida, pickup basketball over Duncan Dogs. We'll see what we have in store as old meets new in this 2-7 TBT matchup. What are you looking for about this matchup specifically, Mike?
Well, it's going to be really hard to top what we just witnessed in that previous game. Just an absolute thriller, but this is a really interesting matchup here in the first round. I think Richards Elite, it's a group full of guys that hang their hat on toughness and the defensive end, and then Eberlein Drive, I think, is one of the most talented, if not the most talented team in the field. I truly believe that. I think a lot of teams have great guard play, and then some other teams have great front court. They got it all. I mean, you're going to see it on display today, and they got a guy on their bench coming up, 22 points a game at Washington in his career, and he's not even in the starting lineup, if that gives you any idea.
Eberlein Drive is a true TBT franchise, a well-oiled machine. They put together great rosters year in and year out, coming off a run to the semifinal last year. They lost to Forever Cougs, the University of Houston alumni team, by 3 points in the semifinal last year. Roster looks a little bit different this year. Their starting lineup features Nate Watson, who played at Providence, Anthony Clemens, who played at Iowa, Terry Taylor, an Austin Peay standout who has played about 100 games in the NBA, Ryan Brown, who had a great career at Miami, Florida, and Gabe York, who is a really good player at Arizona. So this is a really good TBT roster for Eberlein Drive.
I think it's one of the most complete rosters in the field. I really do. I think when you look at just who they're starting right now, Clemens is such a good table setter, but he has the ability to score. Like all these teams that have success in this tournament, your guard play has to be interchangeable. You have to have guys that play on the ball, that play off the ball, and they not only have that, these guys can shoot it too. I mean, basically everybody they're putting on the floor, I mean, Nate Watson isn't known as a shooter, but all 4 guys around him can shoot it, and that just makes life difficult on a team like Richards Elite.
Richards Elite, the 7 seed, but they have some talent as well. Their starting lineup begins with D'Angelo Hunter, who played at West Virginia and Nicholls State, is actually born here in Kentucky, down the road in Louisville. Chasaw Deej, who had a standout career at Northwestern. Marlon Johnson, a JUCO player at Tallahassee Community College and New Mexico Highlands. Miles Hessen, who's from the UK. There are a lot of players with UK ties on this Richards Elite roster. And Joshua Phillips, who's 24 years old and played at Grambling State. So Ryan Richards is the head coach and general manager of Richards Elite. He founded this team. Ryan Richards won this tournament as a player and now is back in it as a coach and GM. Eberlein Drive in white, Richards Elite in orange. Gabe York misses the layup inside for Eberlein, and now Richards Elite with its first possession of TBT.
I talked about the toughness and defense for this Richards Elite team. You see it on display right there from D'Angelo Hunter, getting into Gabe York, making life difficult on him. That's what they're going to have to do to stay in this game. Also have to take care of the ball to not give Eberlein Drive this many chances. But one guy I'm looking at specifically for Richards Elite is Chase Audige. I mean, he's a former Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in 2023, scored at a high level at Northwestern. I think he's got to kind of be the straw that stirs the drink for Richards.
Audige number 1. Here's Nate Watson with the kick out. And the triple try by Terry Taylor a little bit short, looking for our first points of this game. Here's Audige around the Phillips screen. Marlon Johnson guarded by Taylor. Nearly lost the handle. Here's Hunter for 3. Rebound touched by Ryan Brown, and it's picked up by Clemens, the former Iowa Hawkeye.
Well, we saw in that previous possession, guys running in at the ball for Richards Elite as Clemens misses the 3. That's something to watch, because if you're going to run in at the ball against this Eberlein Drive team, you're going to give them open looks from outside, and we'll see if they can make them pay.
In and out for Audige, Ryan Brown the rebound. Eberlein Drive, one of just 2 teams that has played in every TBT going back to year number 1 of this tournament in 2014. Nate Watson has the first points of TBT 2025 for the Drive.
Nate Watson, one of those guys you look and you say, man, 155 career games played in college, and it's incredible. And then as you're doing more prep on the tournament, you're like, oh, this guy has 150. This guy has 150. After the COVID year and the transfer portal, so many of these guys. It used to be David Lighty, who was like, hey, 148 games. It's like a college basketball record. Now all of these guys, it feels like if you played during that era, you experienced a lot of college basketball, and Nate Watson is one of them.
Still a significant amount, no question. Watson played at Providence from 2017 to 2022, and that's a three-pointer from Ryan Brown, and you know he's got that in his bag, Mike.
Oh, he does, and I love the action, too. It's a little twirl action where you come off a flare, get your man going over the top, and then come right back off a screen for a 3. Ryan Brown always ready to shoot.
D'Angelo Hunter tries to spin free of Gabe York. Finds the open man, Marlon Johnson, who misses the 3, and it's a slow start for Richards Elite, down 5 here. Tipped out of bounds. It stays with Eberlein. Eberlein Drive, founded by Jacob Hirschman way back in 2024. He's from Michigan. He grew up on Eberlein Drive and named his TBT team after the street on which he grew up. Terry Taylor with what would have been a magical layup. Chase Audige, the Euro step in the lane denied and swatted out of bounds. It stays down here with Richards Elite.
We saw Eberlein Drive on that last possession. I know Taylor didn't get it to go, but making a concerted effort to make that extra pass and find the open man and generate high-quality shots.
Marlon Johnson, a tough look, and another rebound for Ryan Brown. Watson loses it. Loose on the baseline, and it belongs to Richards Elite.
If you're Watson, you can just kind of take your time down there and survey a little bit. You will see, is Richards Elite going to send a double team? Are they going to stay home, single coverage? He'll feel that out as we get through this first quarter.
Audige on the ball, working on Anthony Clemens. Audige in the lane, kick out. D'Angelo Hunter, rainbow 3. Looking for our flow here in the first 3 minutes or so of this first round TBT tilt. Gabe York misses the 3, and another rebound for Marlon Johnson.
I'm really curious if Richards Elite is going to keep taking threes like this. Can they make them? Because I'm looking at Chase Audige, and as a guy that gets downhill and can slash, you need open lanes to do so.
There's an open lane for Gabe York, and he makes it count. Well, the answer to that question so far, Mike, is no. They are 0 for 4, Richards Elite, that is, from three-point range. The takeaway by Terry Taylor. Taylor to the rim. And a timeout, Richards Elite. Eberlein Drive has opened this game on a 9-0 run.
And just the missed shots just put so much strain on your defense, because these are just rebounds, and in a lot of cases long rebounds on these misses from three that are just turning into runouts for Eberlein Drive, and that's not where you want to be if you're Richards Elite. You want to keep them in the half court and try to make life difficult on them.
Ryan Richards trying to rally the troops here, and how about just get on the board with 4:38 to go in the first quarter. Just a 30-second timeout here. Richards was actually drafted by the San Antonio Spurs way back in 2010, had a long overseas career. He's from the UK. This is one of the first TBT teams to come from overseas. Many of their players are either from the UK or play over there currently.
I'm wondering if there's a jersey under Ryan Richards' shirt.
Could be.
I mean, he looks like he could still go out there and give you 14 and 10.
I agree with you there. Chase Adams on the ball now, number 9 off the bench for Richards Elite. High pass into the corner, caught by Audige. He's going to see a lot of minutes today, and he turns it over, taken away by Ryan Brown.
There's just nowhere to go right now for Chase Audige. I think Eberlein Drive is, again, daring Richards Elite to shoot it.
Layup, Clemens, and the last 3 buckets for Eberlein Drive have been layups.
Yeah, they're turning defense into offense. They're so spread out on these fast break opportunities.
Audige guarded by Clemens again to the cup, and he runs into Tommy Rutherford, but the cleanup by Miles Hessen, and that's the first bucket of TBT for Richards Elite.
And that's what Audige has to keep doing. Even though you feel like you're running into bodies, you have to continue to drive downhill and get a second guy to commit to you. Because Rutherford, yes, he got his hand on the ball and made a play, but no one to box out his man.
Jumper good for Terrell Brown, just off the bench for Eberlein Drive. Played at Washington for 1 season and had a great year for the Huskies.
22 points a game. And the thing with Terrell Brown, and this is what I love about him, he knows who he is as a player. Last year he played 121 minutes in this event. He didn't take a 3.
Wow.
As a guard, which is just unheard of.
Yeah.
He's the mid-range king of TBT, and you saw him there with the pull-up.
We have reached the under 4-minute media timeout of the first quarter. A great start for Eberlein Drive on the heels of a semifinal run a year ago. They lead Richards Elite 13-2 in Lexington. Eberlein Drive off and running in TBT 2025, a 13-2 start over TBT newcomer Richards Elite. We're about midway through the first quarter. Mike LaTulip, Chris Foster, nice to have you with us from Memorial Coliseum in Lexington. So how do you find your footing if you're Richards Elite?
Well, again, I mean, I think That will help.
It's a good start.
Knocking down some outside shots because with Chase Audige, with Walt Lemon, these guys you have on the floor, you need to give them space to operate. I throw Chase Adams in that bucket as well, and you can't do that when you can't space the floor and at least have them honor your outside shot.
Johnny Hughes with the three-pointer for Richards Elite a moment ago, and a big offensive rebound there by Tommy Rutherford of Eberlein Drive. He draws the foul.
Yeah, Rutherford out of UC Irvine. He spent some time in the G League, South Bay Lakers, Motor City Cruise. I mean, it's kind of fitting. He plays with that motor and
that drive.
Yeah, with that drive, and uses. He's not the most athletic guy in the world, but the way he uses his leverage, and he's really one of the like a quintessential big for this tournament because it can be a very guard-dominated tournament, but a guy that sets screens, a guy that wants to rebound, a guy that knows his roles. That's Rutherford.
He's 2 for 2 from the stripe. 15-5, Eberlein Drive. Richards Elite trying to find its on-court combination here. Walt Lemon, a TBT veteran, on the scoreboard with Richards Elite.
Yeah, I talked about Terrell Brown coming off the bench for Eberlein Drive. How about Richards Elite bringing a guy that's played NBA games off of their bench as well?
Gabe York nearly had his pocket pick. The long reach of Johnny Hughes III at 6'8". Brown running the point. York around the Rutherford screen. Short. Here's Lemon with the black headband. And a foul called. Not sure if they got York for a foul there or yes, they did. First personal on Gabe York.
I think Walt Lemon coming into this game, I think, is just giving a little bit more confidence to this group. This second unit has been a little bit more assertive.
Here he is, Walt Lemon. Off the back iron, and the rebound saved by Calvin Godfrey. Hessen misses the three, though. This is Davion McKnight with a burst. Contact. Rutherford the flush. And give credit to Pedro Bradshaw for keeping that play alive underneath.
Yeah, and it all starts with McKnight. We just talked about the guys that, to speak to the talent of Eberlein Drive, the guys that they have coming off the bench. McKnight just wrapped up a career at Xavier. He was in the NCAA tournament like 4 months ago.
Yeah. Against your Illinois Fighting Illini.
That's right.
Godfrey, the deuce. Taken away. Godfrey getting his paws in things on both ends of the floor. Transition bucket, Walt Lemon.
I mean, Walt Lemon, end-to-end, is just an absolute blur. And we saw it, his career at Bradley, almost a 2,000-point scorer there. And then even his time with the Chicago Bulls, he played, and he gets the chase-down block there. He only played a few games with the Chicago Bulls, but he averaged 14 points a game. I mean, you put him in the NBA with space, and for him to attack those matchups. The thing I love about Walt Lemon, and I mentioned it about Terrell Brown, guys that know themselves, Walt Lemon's not an outside shooter, right? That's not necessarily his game. So you play off of him, and then he just exposes you for playing off of him because you give him a head full of steam downhill.
Won a Qatari Cup championship just last year. Eberlein with the takeaway. Brown ahead to McKnight. Gabe York, quick trigger. Nate Watson the rebound, but he's whistled for a foul.
And we know Gabe York's not shy at all. He's going to get him up. We watched Tyree Appleby in this previous game. York is very similar, where just in the blink of an eye can give you, an 8-0 run himself.
This is Hughes from the free throw line. Wide right, tipped off the glass and eventually controlled by Drive. And then Bradshaw, number 11, is fouled.
And again, I just think this second unit for Richards Elite has kind of settled things down. I talked about Walt Lemon, but Chase Adams has done a really good job, I think, setting the table for this team. And for those that don't know, Chase Adams is something of a Chicago legend. I mean, he was very well known in middle school and high school and into his college career for just being like everything that embodies Chicago basketball. The heart at his size. He's really, really tough dude.
Pass from York to Watson, yes, blocked by Godfrey, who heaves it to beat the horn. Short, but Richards Elite finding its chemistry, and what looked like was going to be a blowout midway through the first quarter has become a much closer 6-point affair after one.
Just a chase down and recovery from Godfrey there. And look, there's no question Eberlein Drive has the more talented team, but we've just seen in this tournament you can overcome that with your tenacity and with your connectivity defensively. We've seen some of that from Richards Elite here early on. If you're not, they've made some shots. I think that's settled them in a little bit more. But certainly, if they can set their half-court defense, it hasn't been super easy for Eberlein Drive.
Yeah, Eberlein Drive had a run with what felt like 3 straight layups, but then Richards Elite tightened things up, and there have not been the easy looks for Eberlein Drive that there were for a stretch in the first quarter when it was 13-2 at one point.
And I think it ties back into some of the shot selection, and really they were kind of left to their own devices. Like, you weren't going to get a better shot on the possession. You had to kind of shoot what you had. And then now I think they're getting in the paint more. They're getting downhill more, those inside-out looks. They're finishing around the rim. And that just settles you in. And that allows you to get back on defense and set that half-court defense.
Taking a look at the box score from the first quarter, Eberlein Drive got off to that hot start, shooting 44% from the floor after one. Richards Elite just 5 for 15 from the floor, 1 of 7 from three-point range, but in particular, the field goal percentage is at least trending up based on how they ended the quarter.
Yeah, if Richards Elite can limit the turnovers, 5 in that first quarter, that's obviously not what you want. 1 for 7 from 3. You're going to have to lean heavily on your defense if that's going to remain consistent. But make a couple more shots, take care of the ball, and see if you can continue to even things up on the glass like they have. And we've just seen in this tournament, create some game pressure on Eberlein Drive.
Second quarter begins. Richards Elite in the orange, Eberlein Drive in the white. Winner moves on to the second round of the basketball tournament. Round 2 coverage from Lexington comes your way Sunday afternoon. That's Hessen, who hits the reverse.
We saw Hessen knock down the shot from the outside, and now you see him there on the post-up. It's always telling out of a quarter, out of a half, what a coach wants to dial up, and very clearly they like that matchup with Hessen.
Watson, the big man outside, on the handoff to York. York, a runner, off kilter, and the rebound to Godfrey. Here's Lemon, who sparked Richards Elite with 4 points off the bench. Runs into traffic, but there's Godfrey crashing the glass.
That's what I'm saying. When you sag off of Walt Lemon, you're actually giving him a head full of steam to go at you. And, they go in. Nate Mason goes for the block, and it's Godfrey that's able to come in because Walt Lemon got 2 to the ball.
We got a game now. 2-point lead for the Drive after they led by 11 in the first. Anthony Clemens, step back 3. Long rebound pulled down by Lemon. Lemon accelerates, and that time no one there to clean it up for Richards Elite. Ryan Brown and Terry Taylor. Clemens looking for Watson inside. It's not there. Clemens curls in the lane and hits the finger roll.
I like that from Lemons. Really, really good screen by Terry Taylor up top. And if you got Chase Adams on your back and there's not a big helping uphill, go and finish that thing over the top. And really strong finish from Clemens.
Godfrey into the opposite corner. Hughes misses a tough angle on the layup. York wide open. Still looking for his first 3 of the game. Watson, though, on the third effort.
And I like the look from York in transition. You look under the basket, you see Terry Taylor and Nate Mason with rebounding position. Get it up and give them a chance to get it back if it comes off.
Adams pulls up. Well short. Tell you what, Godfrey has been a load inside.
What an impact he's made coming in this game, and that's kind of been his MO as an energy guy. He can protect the rim. He's a roller. He's an offensive rebounder, and that's all been on display here.
Played for 3 different D1 college programs, most recently Memphis in 2014-15. On the offensive rebound, Terry Taylor is fouled by Johnny Hughes.
I want to see if Eberlein Drive can get Terry Taylor a bit more involved. I think he's just such a tough matchup at 6'7". He can step out, and I'd like to see him on some cleared sides creating a little bit.
Clemens into York. That time he drops it in.
I'm telling you, these guys are professional. I mean, a guy like Gabe York is a professional scorer. And for some people, starting 1 for 7 would kind of make you hang your head, and there's just no blinking from a guy like that.
Keep shooting, the message.
Yes. I think the J.R. Smith one was, I'd rather be 0 for 20 than 0 for 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
At least means I kept my confidence and kept shooting.
York with a rebound there on the Godfrey miss in space. York out to Brown. Drive has extended their lead again. It's up to 7. That pass is tipped out of bounds. It stays with Eberlein Drive.
I respect the fact that Clemens is really trying to set the table for Eberlein Drive and get guys involved, but that was a really great twisted screen from Nate Mason, and there was actually no one there for Clemens. I think he could have finished that one with his left hand.
Eberlein Drive lucky to hang on to it. Just 10 seconds on the shot clock. Terry Taylor draws the foul. Already a little bit of
jawing. we had Hughes, commit a foul earlier on Taylor and was talking in Taylor's ear, and Taylor shaking his head, and then now Taylor draws another foul on him, and Taylor's talking to him, and this is just the beauty of summer basketball, man. Basketball in general. These guys are competitors.
Johnny Hughes whistled for his second foul. Pleading his case to no avail. Terry Taylor, now 25. An outstanding career at Austin Peay from 2017 to 2021. This is Terry Taylor's TBT debut. Great to have him in this tournament. He goes 1 for 2 at the line.
Yeah, 18 and 10 this year in the G League. 39% from 3 on almost 5 attempts. Just it's about as good as it gets.
Clemens whistled for the foul. But Terry Taylor, a G League champion with the Stockton Kings this spring. So a winning pedigree both in college and as a professional.
And had some really good stints with the Indiana Pacers, too. Really good games with the Indiana Pacers.
I think we're going to see a technical foul at some point.
You can feel it. Yeah, no, you can feel it brewing for sure.
Here's Hughes. Draws the foul. He's going to the line. And it's on
There
Taylor.
it is. There it is.
Blink, you'll miss it. So a personal foul on Terry Taylor. He gets one of the technicals on a double tech sequence.
I mean, talk about sniffing that out. You sniffed that out, man.
You
feel it. You
could feel it.
No question.
And Terry Taylor and Johnny Hughes had been going at it almost from the moment this game began, and they both pick up technical fouls. Taylor also was whistled for a personal foul. That's why Hughes is at the free throw line, where he connects and now has 4 points.
We don't have the pleasure of replay, but for those that didn't see, Terry Taylor just simply kind of impeded Hughes' path, kind of walked back and impeded Hughes' path, and they, bumped shoulders a little bit, and that was enough for the officials to say, all right, let's restore a little bit of order here.
Still early in this game. That's their responsibility to not let things get out of hand.
That's right.
So good job by our officiating crew. In the corner, it's Terrell Brown. Hughes the rebound.
I mentioned Brown not taking a three last year. He's, 4 minutes into being in and already taken one this year.
Chase Audige takes a three and drains it.
He's a guy, if he gets going, we saw it so many times at Northwestern. Chris Collins playing him 38 minutes a night. He can fill it up with the best of them.
Brown for Rutherford, who steps in the paint. It's a shot away. A foul was called on Calvin Godfrey. That puts Rutherford at the free throw line.
Rutherford at the line for two.
Rutherford's one of those guys where I don't think you'd enjoy playing against him, but you'd enjoy playing with him because he's always active. He never misses a box out. He's always putting a body on you, and that can wear you down if you're an opposing player. That's the value that a guy like Rutherford brings to the table.
Who was that guy that you played with at Illinois?
Nana Egwu. For people that remember Nana Egwu, he was just never stopped. Always had a motor. Always laying. And as Audige finishes with the hammer, again, like you just see now that a couple shots have gone in for Richards Elite. Like we didn't see those type of driving lanes for Chase Audige earlier, but you make a shot, you get guys to commit to you. Rutherford again. I mean, he's
filling it up.
Rolls to his spot, and as a point guard, if you're Terrell Brown, if you're Anthony Clemens, knowing you have a dependable roller like that is so important.
Johnny Hughes hits the fadeaway and draws the foul on Gabe York.
I mean, for how ugly it started for Richards Elite, I mean, this is really impressive how they've settled in.
Down by 3 and a chance to make it 2 if Johnny Hughes hits a free throw on the other side of this timeout. Halfway through the second quarter, and it's become a close game. Eberlein Drive 29, Richards Elite 26. You're watching TBT first round coverage from Memorial Coliseum in Lexington. .341 to go until halftime. Eberlein Drive 29, Richards Elite 26. A close 2-7 matchup here in round one of the basketball tournament from Lexington. I think the story right now at this moment, Mike, is how Richards Elite has found its stride after getting hit in the mouth to start. What have they done to get on track here?
I think you settle in when you make some shots offensively, but everything's tied together as Hughes makes the free throw. If you get a few stops, that allows you to get out and have, Walt Lemon gets out in transition. Audige gets a more spaced floor. And they've done a good job kind of tying both ends together.
Brown for York, who's open and misses the three. Rutherford with the offensive rebound. Blocked, but a foul called on Marlon Johnson.
I mean, how dependable has Rutherford been in this game? And it's not a ton of flashy stuff, but it's the offensive rebounds, it's the motor, it's just things that when you're making a roster and you're trying, yes, we got Nate Mason, we got Terry Taylor, we got a lot of really, star-studded guys on this team, but he's just a really stabilizing piece for these guys, for Eberlein Drive.
Even with that missed free throw, he's leading Eberlein Drive in scoring right now with 8 points. The former Anteater out of UC Irvine. It's interesting, Eberlein Drive, everyone remembers their run to the semifinal last year, but they almost had to back out of the tournament. Right before TBT began last year, they almost didn't have enough guys to field a team. 2 days before the tournament began last year, their status was still in doubt, and it would have been the first tournament that they missed in TBT history, but found an emergency player to slot in. It actually ended up being Terrell Brown, who had a great tournament, and then they went all the way to the semifinal.
Heck of an emergency player to slide
Seriously.
in. A guy like Terrell Brown.
He's got it now on the feed from Bradshaw. Rutherford couldn't quite handle the feed in the lane.
Well, I think we talked about the length and athleticism of this Richards Elite team. It was kind of ugly early, but it's been kind of like a splash of water to the face for Eberlein Drive. It feels like every time they, no pun intended, drive to the basket or have a roller, there's always a body that's meeting them. And that's the type of stuff you need to do to hang around in a game against a team like Eberlein Drive.
That splash of water to the face, it doesn't feel good.
No, it should wake you up.
Audige in his bag of tricks. And it nearly banked in. Godfrey battling underneath. It's loose, and Audige jumps on it. On the feed to Hunter. Brick. And then a foul on Richards Elite. It's on Calvin Godfrey.
Yeah, you want to be smart there. 90-something feet from the basket. You got Eberlein Drive in the bonus now for the rest of the quarter.
That's 2 free throws, and in the Elam ending, it's 1 free throw and the ball. No 1-and-1 here. But Rutherford just keeps getting to the free throw line and knocking down the majority of his attempts.
And this is a really interesting stretch here coming up for Richards Elite. I thought Hughes did a tremendous job defensively and on the glass. Godfrey, we've seen his activity defensively and on the glass. Now both of them go to the bench. What does your group look like? Can you keep this game close? Can you get into this lead?
Lemon blocked underneath. Clemens ahead to Bradshaw. Blocked. Wow. That was a great play by Chris Yapo off the bench. Lemon misses the layup. It was contested. Rutherford's got it. Finds Bradshaw. On the wing, Brown. Too strong. Rebound, Brown. A Terrell Brown, not to be confused with Ryan Brown. Bradshaw misses.
Getting a little helter-skelter now. And if you're Richards Elite, that's 2 really good looks from Walt Lemon to potentially cut this thing to 2.
Johnson no-look pass out to Audige. Good-looking stroke.
That's a great look from Marlon Johnson. He knew right away he had Ryan Brown helps in at the ball, and you got Chase Audige with a tee-up, catch and shoot. It's a high percentage look.
90 seconds to go until halftime, and Richards Elite has made it a 1-point game, forcing Eberlein Drive to call a timeout. Eberlein Drive is coached by Bryce Taylor, who's in his first year as head coach of the Drive. He's a G League assistant with the Mad Ants, who play in Fort Wayne. Taylor's been involved with TBT teams in the past. He was an assistant with Always Us, an Oregon alumni team who was in the field back in 2022 and 2023. But you looked at before the game started, you looked just at the personnel on Richards Elite's roster. Guys with some impressive college resumes and pro resumes. This looks better than a typical 7 seed on paper.
Absolutely. And then when you couple that with, I think, their fearlessness, they're unafraid. They don't care who's on the other side. I mean, again, Walt Lemon, he's played in the NBA. Chase Audige, he's played at a high level in the Big Ten, Defensive Player of the Year. So they're not going to be scared. And I'm curious what Eberlein Drive goes to coming out of the timeout here.
They go to Watson now. Underhand Brown. Heave-ho to Bradshaw. Hunter steps out on him. Ryan Brown cuts to the lane. Bradshaw couldn't get it to him. Terrell Brown, a teardrop. Rebound corralled by Ryan Brown.
That was a really good job by Richards Elite on that last defensive possession. I thought they wanted Nate Mason on a roll on a cleared side.
Bradshaw short. Rebound, Watson. He draws the foul.
Watson just so strong. And I thought on that offensive rebound, he could have kind of catch high, keep high, and finish it back up. When you bring it back down on the floor, that's where Chase Audige and Walt Lemon, that's where they want the ball to try to strip it.
Friendly roll for Watson, who is coming back stateside after a season in Spain and Greece.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of low post stuff from Nate Watson today, but watching a lot of his stuff overseas, and he was like that at Providence too, but overseas, you see these guys try to expand their game a little bit, shooting 17-footers, opportunistic with catch and shoot threes. That's the type of development that Nate Watson's had, and we'll see if he shows some of that today.
Here's Audige, who spins from Clemens and throws a rocket out of bounds over the head of his teammate Harry Godwin.
The one thing with Richards Elite is, Audige isn't necessarily like a point guard.
Yeah.
Boo Buie was much more the point guard at Northwestern for him. He's more of an off-ball guard, but tasked with a lot of that type of decision-making for this Richards Elite team.
Clemens at the free throw line. Watson sets the screen. 9 on the shot clock for Terrell Brown. Fadeaway off the right side of the iron. 10 seconds to go until halftime. Walt Lemon, 5. Down to 3. Lemon, Euro. Scoop. Lemon. One last chance, and it goes begging. Eberlein Drive takes a 3-point lead into the locker room at halftime, 33-30. Do you think, does one team feel better about their situation than another right now, or do both teams have reasons to feel good?
I think if you're Richards Elite, this is exactly kind of where obviously you'd want to be winning the game, but just be in striking distance. We talk about when you creep into the late third quarter and fourth quarter, can you create some game pressure on a team like Eberlein Drive, who I said at the top, I think is one of the most talented teams in this tournament. I think we'll have a chance to, if they do advance far, right? And they've been knocking on the door. So I think if you're Richards Elite, you feel like you're in a good spot. And if you're Eberlein Drive, guys are chin up in the locker room saying, you know what, we missed some shots, some open looks, and we feel like those will fall in the second half.
Eberlein Drive raced out to a fast start. Richards Elite closed before the end of the quarter and made it close the rest of the first half. It's 33-30, the 2-seed Eberlein Drive over the 7-seed Richards Elite. winner moves on to the second round of TBT 2025 from Lexington. We will be back for the start of the second half in a little over 10 minutes. Just about 90 seconds to go until the start of half number 2 between Richards Elite and Eberlein Drive. The 2-seed Eberlein Drive, the 7-seed Richards Elite, vying for the right to move on to the second round of TBT and keep their $1 million dream alive. Mike LaTulip, Chris Voster is with you. Mike, you've had a chance to peruse the box score from the first half. Anything jump out to you statistically?
Well, I'll get to the statistically, but what jumps out on the court is just what Richards Elite did, probably in the last, 15 minutes of that half, just with their intensity, their activity defensively. But you're right, statistically, I see 2 for 14 from 3 for Eberlein Drive. That's an easy one, but I think there's some overpassing going on from Eberlein Drive, and guys that are coming off ball screens looking to pass instead of looking to score. And I look at Clemens and some of these initiators come off ball screens looking to score, draw the defenders, and then kick in and out, or keep going downhill, get 2 feet in the paint, finish at the hoop. That's what I want to see from Eberlein Drive this half, is if they can be more assertive coming off these ball screens, looking for really their own, and then in turn getting out to their teammates.
Richards Elite has never led in this game, but they trailed by as many as 11 points. Had it down to 1 late in the second quarter. They now trail by 3. So credit Richards Elite, its first year in TBT, but coached by and founded by a guy, Ryan Richards, who knows this tournament very well. However, you could see a scenario where everything unraveled for Richards Elite, but they have picked themselves up off the mat and have made this a game.
Well, and you think, too, it just continue to put the pressure on Eberlein Drive because you have guys that are wired to score on Eberlein Drive, guys that are very confident scorers, and confident scorers always think, well, eventually I'm going to make shots. And if you can just keep pushing that, we'll get to the late third quarter, we'll get to the early fourth quarter, and you'll really start to feel the tension in this arena. For a team with Eberlein Drive, like I said, they've been on the cusp. 2018, they were in the final. Last year, they were in the semifinal. They've been knocking on the door, and what you don't want is a first-round exit. But Richards Elite they're right there.
Eberlein Drive entered the first ever TBT in 2014. They were the 29th seed out of 32 teams. Lost their TBT debut 113-71, but have since become one of TBT's most storied programs, and that's Anthony Clemens of Eberlein Drive getting things going in the second half.
That's what I'm talking about. I was just talking about it. Come off screens if you're Anthony Clemens. You got to look for your shot first and then read the defense and make the play, as Hessen with a really strong finish. But that's what I'm saying with Clemens. It's you come off, and if you're so deferential, you'll never get the defense to commit. So that's really good to see there from Clemens. But Hessen, man, he kind of got them going in the first half, knocking down the three and breaking the ice, and here he is in the second half. A really strong finish through contact.
Foul on Watson, his second for Eberlein Drive. Hessen was a scoring champion in Japan a couple years ago in Japan's B2 league with the Kagawa Flying Arrows. He's got 7 here today after completing the three-point play to start the second half. York inside with the right hand. Watson fouled and goes to the line. Fouls on Calvin Godfrey of Richards Elite. Number 3 on Godfrey.
Yeah, we've seen some tinkering of lineups already for Richards Elite. Kind of seeing there within striking distance and saying, okay, Godfrey gave us a boost in the first half. Lemon gave us a boost in the first half. We're not going to wait around till the middle of the third quarter to put these guys back in. Let's do it now.
Watson 1 for 2 at the line. He has 7 for Eberlein Drive. Walt Lemon picks the ball up. Here's Hessen. Wide right. Ryan Brown the rebound. Bounce pass York on the wing. Yes, sir.
He's going to keep shooting. I mean, you see in that first half, 2 for 8 from the field, 1 for 6 from 3. But a guy like him doesn't blink.
Now 2 for 7 from 3, getting that percentage up a little bit as Lemon's pass is knocked out of bounds by Clemens underneath.
And 2 threes already for Eberlein Drive in this second half, and at 2 total in the first half.
Jason Adige is smothered by Clemens. He thought he got all ball, but Adige is going to the free throw line for 3 tries.
He absolutely got all ball. Unfortunately, he trucked Jason Adige into the first row. They're already trying to fix the chair over there and got the mop out too.
Bull in a china shop.
Yeah, I love the effort. And Adige has just been so solid in this game. We talked about it before the tip, just the impact that he could make, and him as a scorer and as a distributor, kind of taking on both responsibilities. And 4 for 6 in the first half, now getting 3 free throws. I mean, we saw it last game with Tyree Appleby. You give these scorers opportunities at the free throw line. That's a rhythm creator.
Adige started his college career at William and Mary and then played his final 3 seasons in the Big Ten at Northwestern. Played overseas in Belgium this year. From the right shoulder, he puts in 2 of 3 and has a dozen in his TBT debut.
And I don't want it to go overlooked either. I mean, you see what he's doing offensively right now, 12 points, but he's accepting the challenge being the point of attack defensively.
Ryan Brown off the miss. Terry Taylor crashes the glass.
I've been waiting for it. I think Terry Taylor has a chance to really put his imprint on this game. He's such a mismatch. He's so long. He's active. And a great putback there.
Hughes misses the three-point jumper, and Gabe York got poked in the eye for Eberlein Drive. Looks like York is going to stay in the game.
As long as he's got one eye.
He can line it up.
He can line it up and shoot it.
Looking through the scope. York has played in this tournament before. He played for Friday Beers when they had a TBT team, the social media account. Clemens waits for traffic to clear, but misses. Hessen the rebound. Adige in transition. Throws a high feed for Hughes. It stays with Richards Elite.
And if you're Adige, you maybe hold on to that one really risky pass. I didn't think he had control of the ball. And you want control of the ball when you're throwing a lob like that in traffic.
Michael Mays has just checked into the game for Richards Elite for the first time. Godfrey bangs his way inside, and Watson stood firm. Terry spins around Hessen. Terry Taylor for Clemens. Watson.
I like that from Clemens. Again, he's done such a good job of being more assertive and really surveying, looking for his shot. Speaking of looking for his shot, coming right off the bench, Mays. My goodness.
I was going to say, that's what Michael Mays is in this game to do. Excellent shooter. Clemens draws a hard foul. That's on Godfrey.
And there's no better feeling if you're Mays. You know that's what you're put on the floor to do. You haven't had a ton of time in this game. And then there you are with your first opportunity, which isn't an easy one. You're on the run, fast break, transition. Really nice-looking shot.
Yeah, coming in cold after not playing
easy.
In the first half.
Not easy.
That's the 4th foul on Calvin Godfrey. Clemens misses his first free throw attempt of the day.
That's a big blow for Richards Elite because he's just been – I know you get 6 fouls in this event, but he's just been everywhere for them. He's been on the glass defensively. They're going to have to hold the fort down without him.
Clemens now up to 7 points. Yeah, you're right. When Richards Elite was scrambling in the first quarter, Godfrey came in and came up with some big stops on the glass defensively that helped jumpstart their offense. Here's Audige for three. Brown the rebound. Ryan Brown now backing down Michael Mays. Mays just 5'10". York catch and shoot. Yes, his second of the half.
It's just great recognition from Ryan Brown. I got Mays on me. Let me go in that little Barkley back down.
That's a foul on Eberlein Drive. Ryan Brown, a blocking foul.
And back to the Brown play on the other end. When you try to exploit a mismatch like that, it's not just, hey, I like this mismatch, let me go score on him. It's, can I get a second guy to run at me? Can I get the other 8 eyes of the defense looking at me? And that's exactly what happened. He felt that shift, skip it cross court to Gabe York, and man, Gabe York, it doesn't take much to get that guy going.
Yeah, he doesn't need much.
And every shot's the same, right? There's no tentativeness in his shot, even though he was 1 for 6 from 3 to start. It all looks the same.
Michael Mays, in and out. Rebound, Watson. York. Alley-oop, Ryan Brown.
It's really smart from Nate Watson to give it up, get the ball in York's hands, throw it up top to Brown.
Mays short. Watson another rebound. Eberlein Drive will try and rinse and repeat.
Mays is getting him up.
Hand to the passing lane. Marlon Johnson.
Much needed pick six, run out, settle you in a little bit to kind of stop the bleeding here. Eberlein Drive is catching a rhythm.
Clemens, 4-3, and the lead is 13.
I mean, how good has he been in this second half? I called him out at halftime. Not really a call-out, but just I wanted him to be more aggressive looking for his shot, and he has certainly done that.
Miles Hessen rattles one in over Terry Taylor.
You talked about it. Scoring champ in Japan. He's not going to be shy either, and they're going to need to string a few stops together here to crawl back into this.
Ryan Brown got it, and Eberlein Drive is heating up.
You've just seen Richards Elite get so spread out defensively, and Ryan Brown stepping into it. We've seen time and time again in this tournament, Ryan Brown knocking it down from the outside.
Joshua Phillips, a long two-point try. He picks up his own miss. Michael Mays from beyond the arc. He's now 1 for 4. Long rebound. He is fighting with Clemens for it. Clemens rips it away on the floor. Ryan Brown a 2-on-1 with Watson. Nate Watson! An exclamation point to give the Drive their largest lead of the game. Timeout, Richards Elite.
What a surge. I mean, this is what we talked about pregame, and then what you're seeing here on display is just there's so much offensive firepower, and honestly defensive firepower too. I mean, these are guys that are long with length, and when you give them runouts and Richards Elite is falling back into what we saw in the first half, where really getting up threes, leading the long rebounds, leading the runouts, and we got 2 lobs in the last 45 seconds, and we got 2 threes in the last minute and a half, and goodness, I think to me it started with Anthony Clemens, but Ryan Brown and these guys just they're playing really smart basketball, getting out and pushing this thing to 15.
This is, to me, sending a bit of a message to the rest of the field. Like, this is what Eberlein Drive can do when they get on track.
Yeah, I get it. I think you look at this Lexington Regional, a lot of the talk is about La Familia, the Kentucky alumni team, and then a lot of talk is about the Ville, the team out of Louisville, the Louisville alumni team, and will we have a Louisville-Kentucky matchup in the quarterfinal? I think Eberlein Drive is going to have something to say about that. If they can continue to advance in this tournament and they ultimately meet La Familia, like that is not an easy game whatsoever.
Well, that's what Eberlein Drive did last year, remember. They were in the Indianapolis Regional and took down the Butler host team and the Indiana host team en route to winning that regional. So Eberlein Drive certainly plenty comfortable reigning on a host team's parade. But if they win this game against Richards Elite, it would set up a second-round matchup against Tampa Pickup Basketball. So
what we saw just they are not going to go quietly whatsoever.
No, the way they played defensively was really impressive in the first game of the day. Richards Elite just trying to hang around. The lead is 15 for Eberlein Drive. 3:37 to go in the third quarter. Richards Elite has come back from down 11. Can they come back from down 15 at a much later juncture?
And I think if you're Richards Elite, you look up and you got to just condense the game a little bit. You say 3:37 left in the third quarter, 15-point deficit. Can we get this to 9, right? Can we get this to 10, and then maybe by the Elam ending it's 6 or it's 7, and you can create that game pressure we talk about.
Adige has it and finds Godfrey, who's playing with 4 fouls. As Mike mentioned, you get 6 in TBT. Adams, Arlen Johnson back inside. Godfrey with 3 on the shot clock. Slips past Rutherford but did not draw rim. York eyes up court. Ryan Brown continues the red-hot shooting for the Drive.
There's just too good a shooting after the 2 for 14 we saw in the first half from 3. These guys have proven over the course of their careers that eventually they're going to get on track. But I just love that it's starting with their defense, and it's allowing them to get out and transition for these easy looks.
Look out, Gabe York banks it in. They're all dropping now for Eberlein Drive.
I mean, I'd say it's an easy look, but that's a 29-footer that he's shooting off the glass, and he just kind of throws his hands up and shrugs.
14 for York. Chase Adams, too strong. York with the rebound. Ahead to Terry Taylor. What a pass, but it was intercepted by Hughes. Adams slings it to Godfrey, and he lays it in past Rutherford.
That's good by Godfrey.
Brown trying to shake Hughes. Ryan Brown in the corner. Ryan Brown is unconscious.
And this is the trouble that you have when you help from the strong side corner. Like, I understand that's what Richards Elite wants to do. They want to kind of over-rotate and play with that activity. But you got Ryan Brown, who's already knocked down 3 or 4 threes, and you're just giving him a catch and shoot on a dribble penetration. A dribble penetration, drive and kick to the corner it's the easiest shot, easiest 3 in basketball.
Gabe York, the air ball. Ryan Brown has 3 threes in the quarter to go along with 11 points in the third. 14 for the game as Hughes hits an air ball.
And we've kind of entered danger zone for Richards Elite, but now you really don't want to see this thing get blown open. And continue to talk, continue to encourage each other. They've gone quiet a little bit, I think, defensively.
Gabe York a little strong, and the rebound tracked down by Chase Adams. Adams is fouled. They're going to get Gabe York. Number 3 on York. Both teams still 2 fouls shy of the bonus with less than a minute to go in the third. Adams sits for Richards Elite. Walt Lemon inbounds. Hessen on Brown. Pass broken up and taken away by Eberlein Drive. Pedro Bradshaw for Davion McKnight. Too strong. There hasn't been really an opening for McKnight to get in this game because Eberlein Drive's chemistry has been so good in the third quarter. That's an offensive foul on Chase Adige.
It's one you don't see often, but we've seen it in the NBA, and they've really stopped trying to award offensive players for shooting shots that are outside of their normal form, right? And trying to get. We've seen guys do the whole Trae Young's great at it. Drive past your man, get him up in the air, or get him behind you and jump back into him. It's not a natural basketball move, which is why they make the call.
4 seconds to go in the quarter. Ryan Brown would have been a fitting way to end it with the way he's shot the ball in this period. But Eberlein Drive on cruise control in the third quarter. They lead by 22 over Richards Elite going into the fourth.
I mean, it happened in a hurry.
It did.
It really did. It's a 19-point third quarter in terms of outscoring their opponent, Richards Elite. And you can just see when they put it all together what it looks like. When they're getting stops, when they're getting out, and then the ball just has this energy around it offensively. And that's not even, Terry Taylor is a really talented player, and I thought, would be one of the better players on this team. I think he is, and he's been kind of quiet. It's been a lot of the other guys, and Rutherford was the one guy in double figures when we hit halftime, and then now you look and it's Watson, it's Clemens, it's York, it's Brown. It happened in a blink of an eye, it feels like.
Well, it's a team that can hurt you in a lot of different ways, and assuming Eberlein Drive moves on here, maybe next game will be Terry Taylor's game to take over, or it's good that this is a roster that clearly does not have to rely on one person to carry the day.
Well, it's like a lot of good teams, right? You see it in the NBA playoffs. You see it in the NCAA tournament. If you're going to make a deep run, you're going to get contributions all over the place from different guys. It may not be his game this game, but like you said, next game it could be 20 and 10. It's just that's why when you form a talented roster like this, that's the luxury you have. And I think what I've seen so far from Eberlein Drive is, yes, super talented roster, but I don't see a bunch of guys that are out there just kind of trying to get theirs.
Sure, it's totally.
I think everybody kind of understands the spots on the floor that guys are successful at, and they're trying to play to those strengths, which is so important if you want to advance far in this tournament.
I remember you mentioning at halftime that Eberlein Drive was 2 for 14 from three-point range. Well, they go 8 for 14 in the third quarter.
Unbelievable. 9-minute quarters, folks.
Yeah.
At that. This isn't a 12-minute NBA quarter. That's a remarkable shooting display in the third quarter.
Almost 1 3 per minute in the third. Now shooting 35.7% from three for the game.
Not to mention the 2 lobs on the fast break. I mean, we had a pretty you could do a highlight tape alone from that third quarter from Eberlein Drive.
Richards Elite ball to start the fourth, and Marlon Johnson tiptoeing his way through traffic. Adige saves the ball. Elam Ending kicks in at the under 4 media timeout. Hughes got it to go.
Great finish from Hughes. And again, 20-point game right now, and this is the beauty of the Elam Ending that we have approaching is, the time in the clock is not your ally. You can't just bleed clock and win the game. You got to go out there and prove it. So, that target score, as Rutherford does it again, that target score is what kind of should keep you having hope that you can come back and win this game.
Miles Hessen guarded by Bradshaw. Double team comes, and Adige lays it in. He's got 14.
That's a great, making yourself available. Chase Adige there. Hessen, you had a second guy rotate from the baseline, and Adige, Johnny on the spot there for the floater.
Davion McKnight, who's from nearby Shelbyville, Kentucky. Off the front iron. Rebound, Rutherford.
Guess who?
Glass, yeah. Rutherford is one of 5 players for the Drive in double figures today. Stays with Eberlein. Terrell Brown gets it in. Shot off the mark. That's Anthony Clemens, who has changed his jersey, now wearing number 15. And a tough layup hit by the streaking Walt Lemon.
Walt Lemon's going to keep coming at you.
Takeaway, Richards Elite. Marlon Johnson with the steal. Johnny Hughes.
All right.
Tough shot.
All right.
Hughes with a dozen. Still a long road to hoe for Richard Zalit.
Again, like the next 3 minutes, I mean, it's a 16-point game right now. Can you get it to 9? Can you get it to 8? Can you keep generating turnovers like this?
Well, there's a takeaway, and Hughes draws the foul.
And this is the type of stuff I think that can sneak up on a team, is when you build a big lead in this tournament, when you feel like you got all the momentum, that Elam ending's creeping up, and it's not only just, hey, are we forming good habits for the next round? You have to go out there and kind of plant your flag and win this game.
So the foul was called on Anthony Clemens. That's his third. He's wearing number 15. He started the game wearing number 5. Getting that situated at the scorer's table. Here's Walt Lemon. Low block. Bounce pass, Johnson. Still time on the shot clock for Richard Zalit. Hughes draws the foul. He got hit in the mouth. Foul on Pedro Bradshaw.
And all these fouls that you can pile up for Eberlein Drive are so important. I mean, I know right now in the quarter it's their first foul, but can you get them to 4? Can you get them to 5 when that Elam ending hits? And then continue to be as aggressive as you are getting downhill, and then you get the free throw and the ball back like you do in the Elam ending.
Hughes with 13. Played in both Canada and Mexico this most recent international season.
And look, crazier things have happened.
Sure.
I remember back in 2021 watching the Bradley alumni team. I believe it was the Bradley alumni team. It was a 15-point deficit going into the Elam ending, and they won the game. So it was just unbelievable. You're never out of the fight.
I think Bradley hosted a regional that year.
They did.
Well, there is a Bradley alum on the floor right now for Richard Zalit. Walt Lemon had a great career at Bradley from 2010 to 2014. Free throws for Johnny Hughes III. Backcourt pressure here for Richard Zalit. He can get it to 10 or less before the Elam ending. They would feel pretty good about that. And 3 straight possessions without a bucket for Eberlein Drive. Rutherford, difficult shot. Terry Taylor goes to the free throw line.
And this is what's tough about playing against a team like Eberlein Drive and trying to mount a comeback, is not only do you have bigs like Terry Taylor and Rutherford who are so good on the offensive glass, you have so many ball handlers. You know, it's Terrell Brown, it's Gabe York, it's Anthony Clemens. There's so many steady handlers that, you know, things don't get too shaky with them, and that's imperative when you hit this Elam ending.
Well, the element, too, that Terry Taylor brings to the table is his rebounding. 2,000-point scorer and 1,000 rebounds in college.
That's a very select group that he's a part of with that.
Walt Lemon hits the reverse.
I love that play. Like a little get action where throw it to Godfrey, and let's just get Walt Lemon with a head full of steam on the dribble handoff getting downhill. I mean, if I'm Ryan Richards and Richards' lead, I'm going back to that until they prove that they could stop it. Because Walt Lemon, for the majority of this game, I know he hasn't finished the best around the rim, but he is living in the paint.
Well, and especially when he puts his head down and, you know, from outside the three-point line and really gets a full head of steam, he is tough to stop. York steps out of bounds, and Richards' elite kind of clawing their way back in this thing. Don't call it a comeback yet.
I mean, what do we got the next 2 minutes here before you hit that Elam ending? Does this lead go back to 17 for Eberlein Drive, or can Richards Elite make this a 9-point game or an 8-point game?
Here's Calvin Godfrey. Left for Hessen. Tough shot, even from a good shooter.
Oh.
There was a collision into the Richards Elite bench. Bradshaw for the drive hit the deck. It's now a 5-on-4.
Bradshaw's wiping off his feet, coming back into play.
But now the numbers are back to even strength. Terry Taylor bumped and is going to the line again.
And that's just why he's such a mismatch, because you think, okay, Terry Taylor, 39% from three in the G League this year. I gotta get a hand up. I gotta be within range to contest, and then he's so long and has such long strides that he can also get by you and create those angles and exploit those angles to get the bump.
But Bradshaw will head to the bench after a tumble into the Richards Elite bench. Ryan Brown back into the game. Taylor's now 4 for 6 at the stripe. He's got 8 points. Lemon missed the finger roll. Wanted a foul, didn't get it. 15-point lead for Eberlein Drive. Just about a minute to go until the Elam ending kicks in. Clemens out to York. Rutherford, a mismatch with Lemon. Godfrey helps him out. Taylor steps inside the arc. The bank is not open. And a foul called on Godfrey. Rutherford again just wreaking havoc on the glass, and Godfrey picks up his 5th.
I mean, we've seen Nate Watson's been solid today. Gabe York's been solid today. Clemens has been solid today, but you could truly argue that Rutherford's been the MVP for Eberlein Drive thus far today, just with his, the rebounding, and he's gotten to the line 8 times, and he just generates all these extra possessions, which we talk about in this type of setting where it's a lower possession type of game. Those are imperative.
12 points and 7 rebounds for Tommy Rutherford, who's got the ball now. Underhands to Clemens, who lets it go. And Marlon Johnson with the good box out there. Hessen, a 16-footer.
That's just pure, and I love his stroke, too. He gets it up into that pocket right above his chest. It's such a repeatable motion. All right, so if you're Richards Elite, do you foul here if it gets under 4 to stop the clock? You foul anyways.
Foul on Audige, his second.
Well, now you don't want to foul because you're in the bonus.
Clemens frustrated with that miss. That's his second miss at the free throw line today. An Eberlein Drive returner who had 6 assists in the semifinal loss to Forever Cougs last year.
15 a game for them in this tournament last year, and he's been tremendous in this second half.
Walt Lemon gets to the cup.
Well, now you don't want to foul because you don't want to send him to the line. So do you play it out here, try to get a stop, get a rebound? Eberlein Drive's going to call a timeout to set the score.
That's smart. With Richards Elite not surging, but trying to put forth a late charge here to make things interesting down the stretch. 72-61 is the score in favor of Eberlein Drive, the 2 seed. Target score equals the leading team score, plus 8. So we will play to a target score of 80, and the first to 80 wins this game and moves on to the second round of TBT. Stick with us. It's time for the Elam ending portion of today's game between Eberlein Drive and Richards Elite. Winner moves on to the second round of the basketball tournament 2025. First team to 80 wins, and Eberlein Drive is in the driver's seat, up 72-61 over Richards Elite. Anthony Clemens running the point for the Drive, guarded by Chase Audige. Gabe York is fouled promptly by Will Lemon.
That's just not what you want to start the Elam ending. You know, already knowing you're in the bonus, you send them to the line and they get the ball back. But I will say, it's pretty unbelievable Richards Elite has done to get back in this thing. The way it looked in that third quarter, the way it was trending in that third quarter, and to still be here within striking distance at 11 is, there's a lot to be proud of for Richards Elite.
With less than 2 minutes to go in the third, Eberlein Drive led by 22. York hits the free throw.
It was a 16-5 run for Richards Elite just to get to this point, to not have this balloon out of control. But you have to defend without fouling, especially now.
Eberlein Drive needs 7 to win after the York made free throw. Underhand pass to Nate Watson. And now they need 5.
It's just a great action. Clemens is just so assertive coming off the ball screen, throws to the back action on York, and then Watson finishing his roll to the basket. York delivers one for the finish.
Miles Hessen, a step to his left. He misses the 3. Batted out of bounds. It stays with Richards Elite.
And that's just a tough start to the Elam ending for Richards Elite. You want to climb back into this by getting a few stops and stringing some stops and scores together. But when you send Eberlein Drive to the free throw line, they get the ball back and they're able to finish another one. It makes it very tough to get back in this thing.
Audige looking for an entry option, finds Marlon Johnson. Johnny Hughes can't track it down. Great effort by Audige, but it belongs to Eberlein Drive.
And you can feel that Eberlein Drive can kind of smell it now.
Yep.
I mean, there's the blood in the water, and they're getting after it defensively, forcing turnovers. We'll see how they finish this thing out offensively.
Terry Taylor! And he wedges the ball between rim and rack. Did Nate Watson headbutt the ball free? Impressive.
I think he just headbutt the bottom of the backboard.
Of the backboard.
I think it was just because. I'm not even sure. Yeah, I think it was
just kind of like a slap the floor moment or something.
Yeah, like here is, I'm a really talented big who rebounds and can score down low. Here's also another thing that I can do.
Mark it down. Clemens finds York, who
That's
promptly fires. Richards Elite catches a break there. Johnson for 3. Batted around, and it stays with Richards Elite.
It just feels like offense has been really hard to come by for Richards Elite in the last 4 or 5 minutes of game time.
Yeah, it's just gotten stuck in the mud a little too often. Audige finds some space and one-hand bam.
Now, he is such a terrific athlete. I mean, we've talked about all the accolades, Defensive Player of the Year in the Big Ten, all those things, but my goodness, is he a good athlete.
And there was space, but not a ton of it.
No.
Clemens, alley-oop to Watson.
And again, I love Clemens. Just continue to get downhill. See if you can get that big to help uphill. And Watson's there. I mean, this is the other thing, too. The shooting that Eberlein Drive has, there's not guys helping in on Watson, so he's free for that lob.
A 3 wins it for Eberlein Drive. York is fouled. Goes to the line.
This has been just a very workmanlike Elam ending for Eberlein Drive. The shot selection's been great. Activity defensively. They're not rushing things. It's pretty impressive.
That's exactly the word I would use to describe it as well. Even with a chance to win it with a 3, they just keep pounding the rock inside, getting to the free throw line.
And that's really, as a defense, if you're Richards Elite, that's what kind of steals your soul, is just, having a team that kind of relentlessly comes at you and is kind of been living at the free throw line in the second half.
Gabe York hits 2. He has 17 for the game, and Eberlein Drive needs 1 point to move on to the second round. Here's Harry Godwin. Got a spot on the Richards Elite roster by way of a tryout. He turns it over. Clemens from York puts Eberlein Drive into the second round. Eberlein Drive wastes no time shifting into gear. Picking up after a great semifinal run in 2024, they are through to the second round where they will take on Tampa, Florida, pick up basketball.
And you see just really impressive stretches for Eberlein Drive. What they were able to do in that third quarter to blow this thing open, and then what they just did in that Elam ending was really, really impressive. And again, they're going to have something to say about this regional. And I know La Familia, I know Kentucky alumni team is technically the favorite, but this is a really, really complete group, and very fitting that Clemens is the one to finish that out. I thought he was tremendous in that second half.
The roadmap in this portion of the bracket points to a quarterfinal showdown between the Louisville alumni team, and La Familia, the Kentucky alumni team. But Eberlein Drive could certainly be a speed bump, if not a pothole for that happening the way they look based on this first-round win.
And again, you can't look ahead in this tournament. I mean, you do because there's a bracket, but you got Eberlein Drive playing Tampa pickup basketball, which we saw earlier. They pose the same type of problems I thought Richards Elite posed for Eberlein Drive today, but I think it has a little bit more talent. And now, like, you look, and again, if you get picked off early in this tournament, that's when the really good teams, if they get picked off early, it's because you haven't developed a rhythm or an identity with this particular group. But, man, you let this Eberlein Drive team get 1 game under their belt, 2 games under their belt. That's when they become even more dangerous, and we've seen that on display. I've talked about it. They've been knocking on the door for a championship for almost a decade now. 2018 in the final. Last year, semifinals. Is this the year for Eberlein Drive to go the distance?
81-63, Eberlein Drive over Richards Elite. The 2 seed in Lexington is moving on to the second round, and we have a 2-6 matchup coming your way on Sunday in Lexington. Mike, this has been a lot of fun.
A lot of fun.
We'll be looking forward to hearing you on the call from the Kansas City Regional later this TBT.
I'll call every game if I can.
I
love this tournament. I think it's such high level basketball here in the summer, and you got former pros, former NBA guys. This is a blast.
The 2 evening games in the Lexington session will be on FS1, so please follow us over to linear television or the Fox Sports app to catch the 2 night games from Lexington round 1. Until then, for Mike LaTulip, I'm Chris Fosters. Thank you for watching TBT 2025.